Well, joining me now is Geoffrey Garrett again from the United States Studies Centre. Geoffrey, good morning to you. Once again, I'm just looking back at that rich relationship. It is that.
Yeah, it's very rich. You know, I think that there was only really one down moment in the relationship in the post-war period, which was Gough Whitlam and Richard Nixon, two very different characters. But really beginning with Bob Hawke, the US-Australia relationship has gotten stronger in this environment where Australia's economic ties to China obviously have been increasing.
That's the interesting part of all of this. There is a feeling in some sectors that America says jump, we say how high.
Yeah, but I think the thing that Australians need to remember is that its position between the US and China is not unusual. You know, Japan and Korea, two very close allies of the US, also have very deep economic ties with China. So we're living in this world in which everyone wants to take advantage of China's rise, including the Chinese, but there's still this lingering suspicion. We just don't know what China's ultimate ambitions might be.
Okay, just on that, President Obama addressed some of those issues yesterday. Here's what he had to say.
We welcome a rising, peaceful China. What they've been able to achieve in terms of lifting hundreds of millions of people out of poverty over the last 2 decades has been nothing short of remarkable. And that is good not just for China, but it's potentially good for the region. I know Australia's economy obviously has benefited by the increased demand that you're seeing in China. With their rise comes increased responsibilities. It's important for them to play by the rules of the road and in fact help underwrite the rules that have allowed so much remarkable economic progress to be made over the last several decades.
He also had some pretty strong words about the Chinese currency and the inflated Chinese currency and what that meant to the global economy. In terms of where he's at the moment, how much of his strong rhetoric has to do with the domestic situation and also the way that Americans feel about China at the moment?
Well, I think you're right that the Obama's outspoken words on the Chinese currency were probably signaling to his left base at home that he cares about them. You know, China is killing American jobs is a pretty powerful rhetorical statement. But I think we also need to remember that Obama's taking a lot of heat even for making this trip. You know, the Republicans are saying you should be in Washington trying to do a debt deal. That's what's important. Why are you spending 9 days in the Asia Pacific? That tells me that this notion of a strategic pivot towards the Asia Pacific for the US is real.
How does that go down at home, though, when there are so many troubles?
It's not going to buy Obama anything. And the Democratic Party, of course, doesn't like the fact that he's pushing the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership for Free Trade, because Democrats say that trade agreements are job killers. So the person's going to take some hits for this trip, but I think he's willing to take the hits because he thinks that the Asia Pacific is where his country's future lies.
Yeah, he might be right about that. Geoffrey, always good to get your insight. Thank you again.
My pleasure.
And we'll have more from Canberra coming up very shortly. Lisa.
Thanks.